How does that work? Was it like some Char were filling the buckets and some were... I don't know. Anyway, winning ugly is still winning is the next section. And it says, things have gone relatively well for our nation of belligerent feline antagonists since we last saw them. After Karla Scorch Razor's rebellion broke the power of the Flame Legion shamans, the Iron, Ash and Blood Legions re-established their dominance and led the Char people on a remarkable series of victories. Yeah, this is one thing actually I find with Char Week more than the other race weeks. This is one that a lot of what's happening with the Char is really explained in two big articles that were released shortly after Eye of the North, which one of them is the Movement of the World, which I do intend to do quite a... Well, I don't know, actually, I've got an idea for another series that might end up doing that. But anyway, I'm going to do some videos at some point, no matter how they end up being. But I'm going to do some videos on the Movement of the World. I was planning on doing them just before the Dungeon series, actually, but I'm going to do them after. But this is one race week where it's going to be referencing a lot of stuff that we had originally learned in the Movement of the World. And because I haven't put that up on the channel yet, it might seem a little bit in the dark there, but don't worry about it. I'm sure this race week will explain it just fine. So, by the start of Guild Wars 2, the Char have almost completely pushed humanity out of what was once Ascalon, successfully built a capital city stronghold on the ruins of Rin, and solidified their grip on the holdings while also expanding ever outward into new territory. This should come as no surprise, as a victory has been a touchstone for everything the Char do, both as individuals and as a society. They still care far less about the means than they do the ends, especially when the end is winning. This is an interesting line here where they talk about how they're pushing out into new territory. I think that's kind of questionable because they write that, but then they also write into the lore. But I've talked before about how I thought that they were setting up the Norn and the Char to sort of be quite vehemently against one another. But they constantly say, oh no, they're total bros, the Norn and the Char. They don't care, they're totally cool with one another because the Char just respect the power of the Norn and they're not actually expanding into their territory or anything. And yet we get lines like this constantly about how the Char are constantly pushing out into new lands. Okay, but then you look at where the Char actually are. You've got one legion is in Ascalon, the Iron Legion. You've got one legion which is still in the Char homelands as we know them in Eye of the North, which I think is the Blood Legions up there. And then you've got the Ash Legion, which is on the far east past the Blaze Ridge Mountains of Ascalon. So you've got the Char all around there. Where have they got to expand into? Directly into Kralkatoric's lair to the south? No, they've only got the Shiver Peaks to expand into, and yet... Hold on a second, they're saying that they're not because they respect the Norn. That's a bit weird. I feel like that's poor writing rather than ArenaNet setting up some kind of conflict there. But in any case, I guess we can say, yes, the Char is still conquering and they're still moving forward. This should come as no surprise as victory, blah, blah, blah. I've already read that. Okay, so the next dialogue bit is called Winning Ugly.
That was a cheap kill.
Those words make a sentence, but I don't know what they mean. Cheap? A kill is a kill. You kill or you die. Ain't nothing like watching one of our killing machines go to work. We build the best.
Gears keep turning, and fools keep dying. Grind 'em up and spit 'em out.
I love this job.
I do love the Char, though. It's weird because sometimes they like put these kind of like this whole "oh, that's a cheap kill" thing. That's kind of something I always sort of attribute to just one of the legions rather than them all. But whatever. 3 legions, 1 nation. Speaking of the legions, their remarkable achievements didn't come easy, however. The first obstacle the legions had to overcome was their rivalry with each other. The Iron, the Ash, and the Blood Legion each laid claim to the throne of the Kan-Ur, known as their supreme commander of the Char nation. However, without the claw of the Kan-Ur, a powerful totem which signifies the right to rule, no single legion has had the support required to take the throne. The Iron Legion is in the best position to siege control, having retaken Ascalon and rebuilt a citadel on the ruins of Rin. I love this, by the way, how they form their capital directly over the old Ascalon capital. I feel like Rin is such a kind of a... I'm glad that they did this because in Guild Wars 1, Rin was written, if you looked in the right places, it was written in the story to be this really important place, kind of in the plot, as Rin, but it never really came that way across to players, I think, because obviously it wasn't an actual outpost and it was just destroyed. And while being a massive thing in the story, it was something that went over a lot of people's heads. But by writing the citadel over the ruins of Rin, by having the Char do that, it kind of keeps that important onto Rin, and players don't forget about it so easily, which I think is quite cool. However, their Imperator, Smodor the Unflinching, has yet to turn these victories into a serious challenge for the throne of the Canur. So this is one thing I'm not actually that good with on lore. The Char have got loads of different ranks, okay? So you've got the Canur, and there hasn't been one that's existed for a very long time. Think of that as being a number one ruler of all the Char, who just unites all the legions and is just a total badass. But he needs the Claw, and the Claw's been missing. If you read Ghost of Ascalon, it's basically about them looking for the Claw. So as it stands, you've actually got separate legions, and each legion has got their own, like, supreme leader, but it only controls the entire region, and that person is known as the Imperator, okay? So the Iron's Imperator is Smodor the Unflinching, and obviously in Guild Wars 2, no matter what legion you decide you're going to join, you're going to be in the Iron Legion's territory, because they're in Ascalon. So we'll probably find that Smodor is going to be a big character in Guild Wars 2. I wouldn't be surprised if he was assassinated, or something happened to him, or something big happened with him during sort of the earlier parts of the personal story, which are more focused on your individual race and how they're getting on, because that's kind of how Guild Wars 2 works. You start off and the plot is very much about your individual race, and then later on it sort of expands into the three orders of the Order of Whisper, the Vigil, and the Dermond Priory, and then after that kind of everything comes together and it's all about fighting the dragon. And then you've kind of got another parallel storyline to do of bringing Destiny's Edge together, but that, you know, that's good. Slightly off topic. Within Ascalon, troops from each legion support, I just dropped something. Within Ascalon, troops from each legion support Smodor's cause to reclaim the Southern Char lands from their human enemy. Blood and Ash Legion troops work in tandem with Smodor's forces of Iron, with each legion playing to his strengths. Blood musters the fiercest warriors and dominates on the battle through sheer ferocity and strength of numbers. Ash practices subtlety and stealth, choosing its targets carefully and then eliminating them with deadly precision. I like how these kind of match up as well with the main orders that you get later on. Like, I can totally imagine playing a Blood Char who then goes to join the Vigil. I can totally imagine playing an Iron Char who goes to join the... Well, kind of. I suppose that's the only mismatch. Definitely Ash, who are, you know, subtle, stealthy people joining the Order of Whispers. That just works so perfectly. But yeah, Iron provides the ordnance and the strong leadership required to keep this potentially explosive alliance from tearing itself to pieces. The Canur's throne remains empty, but the Char and Ascalon stand largely united under the Iron Legion's rule, functioning as a mighty machine of conquest. This is quite a nice idea as well that I like to always think about, especially considering the as yet unseen lands owned by the Blood Legion to past the Blaze Ridge Mountains. I love the idea of a Guild Wars expansion taking place over there. And hell, while they're at it, they could make that expansion the same one that takes us to the lands that Utopia was supposedly in. Even though that's supposed to be kind of an island, I guess that could work. You could have like a landmass that the Char own and an expansion off there on the right, and then like a big sea and an island in the middle of it or something like that. That'd be quite cool. See, this is the thing with the expansions. Like, I desperately want to go back to factions, to Cantha, and I definitely want to go back to Nightfall and Alona, but I also want to see these new places, especially when they continue writing in new lore about them. Anyway, we get another bit of dialogue here. 3 legions, 1 nation.
This is how we do it. Iron Legion sees a problem, builds a solution.
No legion like Blood Legion.
What does the Ash Legion recommend?
Slip into every ogre village and collect the chieftain's head. 1 night's work and the ogres cease to be a problem.
I don't like it. Everyone's doing what comes naturally except the Ash Legion.
He's right. You bloodies get to charge in face first. The makers forge their toys.
So, go do what comes naturally. Crouch in the shadows and hold your breath, and I'll pretend not to see you.
I hate this. If I was meant to be a maker, I would have been born Iron Legion.
No, you would have been born Iron Legion if you were meant to rule. Back to work!
See, I don't know which I would... This is obviously what we've got to be asking ourselves here. If you're someone who's decided I'm playing Char, what legion are you going to be joining? I don't know. I like the idea of Iron because they're like the leaders as well as sort of the tinkerers and the creators. You know, people were looking at this quite a lot before the engineer was revealed and talking about how sort of the theoretical alchemist profession or anything like that would probably stem from them, and in fact that does turn out that way. And in fact, I'm looking right now at a bit of concept art of a Char with a flamethrower. You know, probably that is concept art of an engineer there. So I don't know, maybe the Iron Legion But if not that, then probably Ash. I think Blood's just a bit boring, really, to be honest. You know, it's just that kind of archetype exists everywhere. Oh, I'm the guy who goes, and you know, that's not to say anything bad about warriors or anything, but you know, that's just there all the time. So I don't know. I reckon I'd be either Iron or Blood. I quite like the whole sort of Blood banter that's going on there. But anyway. You actually notice they were talking about ogres as well. I don't know whether this blog post goes into it, but ogres are kind of quite a big part of what's happening with the Char at the moment. Military mindset, this next bit is called. Make no mistake, the Char may not be at humanity's throat like they once were, but they're still essentially a massive, well-armed and well-trained military unit. All Char serve, if not as soldiers, then as a logistical support for soldiers, providing food, weaponry, transport, and whatever else the legions need. There are still Char merchants, explorers, and even Char scholars, but whatever their vocation, all Char are soldiers at heart, and they tackle life's challenges with the soldier's discipline and focus. That is not to say the Char don't enjoy life's simple pleasures or the occasional luxury, meat, whiskey, a finely made blade, but like all well-disciplined soldiers, they never lose sight of their larger mission. Okay, military. I suppose that works quite nicely as well with basically the MMO players mentality where, and you know, Guild Wars 2's making pushes, SWOTOR made pushes as well to sort of change this up a bit, but at the end of the day, we are, when we're playing this game, just going to be running around killing stuff all the time, so I guess that goes quite nicely with what the Char mindset's supposed to be like. I guess it's quite easy to justify why you play like that if you're going to be a Char. So military mindset.
I need a volunteer to hold hot metal while I hammer it. You there?
Boss.
You just volunteered. Is that beef fresh? When did you kill it?
This morning. I got more coming in. You want to watch?
I just want the dinner. I don't need the show. You want a beer? Beer is for cubs. I want whiskey.
You got enough gear there, soldier?
Armed and armored. Got potions, meat, whiskey, black powder, and slugs. I'm good.
Pack better. You'll be fighting your gear more than the bad guys if you don't.
Why bother? I was gonna drop my pouches after I killed someone with a bigger gun.
At least you've got your priorities straight.
They are so obviously in Guild Wars 2 going to have like whiskey consumables or something like that. Isn't there a type of whiskey in Guild Wars 1 already? Like maybe we'll give them like flasks of firewater or something, see how the Char enjoy it. That's so cool to me. I remember so many posts on the forums actually of people talking about, oh, I love the idea of Char drinking whiskey, oh, it's amazing. So we get another image here of like a forge with some Char standing around it doing something. Look at like quite weird Char, but I guess they are Char. And the next section is called Boot Camp for Cubs. The root of this military organisation lies in the Farah, a kind of boot camp that young Char report to as soon as they can walk and wield a blade. Training can be brutal in a Farah, and a Char bonds for life with the other cubs in the Farah. When this initial training is over, Farah graduates form a warband that becomes an adult Char's second family. Sometimes they even adopt similar surnames to mark themselves as members of the same unit. So think of the Fierce warband from Guild Wars 1. It says sometimes they adopt similar surnames. I thought that was always the case, like Pyre, Fierce, Short and all those guys, but maybe it's not all the time. Adult Char have very little contact with their natural parents or their natural offspring, but parents and children sometimes keep tabs on each other to stay informed of any victories or defeats that could reflect back on the family's reputation. See, it's not really about families, it's all about the warbands, it's all about the military side of stuff, which I think is actually really cool. It makes them very distinct from the other races in that regard. Boot camp for cubs.
This was easier when we were cubs.
Not so tough now that we're on the battlefield. I knew you were all talk.
Watch and learn. The cubs are at it again. Warbands fighting in the streets. So young, so fierce. Makes you proud. And what did we learn from your comrade's unfortunate accident? Never walk in front of a cannon. We were eating fried kidneys, and this buddy of mine drops one in his water. So he takes out his dagger, shoves it in the cup, pulls out the kidney, and eats the whole soggy thing. He hates dirty claws, so he won't touch food, but he'll eat a cold, soggy kidney as long as it's stuck to the end of a dagger.
The Char are so ruthless. ArenaNet obviously found an opportunity just to... They seem to have infused quite a lot of humour into the game, honestly. Like, especially when you see Asura Week and the kind of stuff they do. They really do seem... And, you know, I appreciate it. I have mentioned before that I would really like it if the game was a bit more dark. I definitely am looking for kind of an MMO that's got darker themes and stuff, but I think I do very much appreciate how funny they end up making it. Living for the city. The current Char capital is the Black Citadel, built by the Iron Legion on the ruins of Rin to serve as their central headquarters. It's a monument to their victory over Ascalon and a symbol of Iron Legion dominance. Something quite interesting here, actually, that talking about how they built it on the ruins of Rin and how it's their monument to their victory over Ascalon. Well, you would have thought that they'd do something about the wall, right? Because the wall was always the thorn in their side. It was this huge... It was like the monument of Ascalon's victory, the Ascalonians' victory, way back before the Char invaded it. It was like, hey, look, we've owned this land for so long. Look at this huge ass wall that we've built to keep you guys out. Oh, look, we're building our cities on the other side of the wall and you still can't do shit. You'd think that they would have done something about the wall. I remember people talking about loving the idea of there being graffiti on the wall or bits torn down and stuff, and I think that's actually so cool. I haven't actually seen in the demo whether that's come to pass or what they've done with the wall. I know that it's still standing up. There's an amazing bit of concept art out there of a human on a horse, actually, and you can see the wall in the background and it just looks absolutely beautiful. But yeah, I mean, so they talk about how they did this over Rin. You know, that's totally understandable. Build your capital over the enemy's capital, that's fine, but you know, I would have liked them to have gone into or written, they've probably done something with the wall in game. It would be hard not to after it was such a huge part of Guild Wars 1, but they don't really mention it at all in the blog post, which, I don't know, maybe it's a shame, or maybe it'll be nice to be able to have that surprise when we finally get in game and see it. You never know, if I do end up Let's Playing Guild Wars 2 blind, then that could be quite a cool moment for us, going back to the wall and seeing what it's like. All three legions coexist in the Black Citadel, along with a handful of Norn, Sylvari, Asura, and even a few humans. By Smodor's command, the Iron Legion allows just about anyone to visit and even settle there, so long as the visitors don't cause trouble. But the leadership never lets anyone forget whose city it is, or the fact that everyone else is just a guest in their house. So this is quite cool, actually. ArenaNet have got very open policy for the players, gameplay-wise. Okay, for the players, they sit there and they say, no, do you know what? You can play with your friends no matter what race they are. After you've finished your tutorial, screw it. You can go to that Asura gate and you can go to any other race's capital city and play with your friends from the first half an hour of playing the game. We're not going to limit you in that regard. However, they have established in law that there are these chasms between certain races, the Char and the humans in particular. So how have they done it? They did in an interview I remember reading, they basically say that they're going to work it out with NPCs. Let the players do whatever they want. Yes, that can break your immersion a little bit. Yeah, you might see 100 humans in the Char Citadel at Rin and no Char there at all, because that's just the way it goes at that moment. But ArenaNet are catering for role players or whatever, or people who care about this kind of thing. What they're doing with the NPCs, they severely skew the number of different races there are. So again, in the Black Citadel, you're not going to find many humans. I think there's like 1 or 2 humans there or something stupid like that people found in the demos. But that's it. The rest you all just see, it's mostly Char and then some of the other races around there as well. There's actually something else really cool in the Black Citadel that I saw a couple of weeks ago that I saw somebody link to. There are Char cubs. This is actually quite an interesting topic. For a while, we didn't really have much in-game footage of Guild Wars 2, actually, for a very long while. And all we had was concept art to pour over. And there were 2 bits of concept art in particular that were really interesting to look at. One of them was a Norn child. It was a Norn child. He was this kid, and he had this huge weapon. I think there were 2 of them, actually. I think they were like these ginger kids, and it looked really, really cool. There was another one of a Char baby, and it basically looked like this really cute little cat kitten thing. And everyone was like going crazy about this concept art and going, oh, this is amazing. I can't wait to see kids in Guild Wars 2. But ArenaNet eventually turned around and said, hey, look, this is just concept art. It's not indicative of anything that could end up in the game. We're sorry, it might not be there. Don't get your hopes up. And for me, that was basically them saying, no, it's not going to... Because I tend to be a little bit more cynical about this. I thought, right, no, there's obviously not going to be anything like that in the game. They're just letting people down easy, and they don't want to say never say... They're basically saying never say never, but it's not going to be there. However, in the Black Citadel, there was this video linked to, and you can see they're not Char babies. They're not like cute little cat kitten things, but there are Char children there at the Black Citadel, and they look amazing. They do look... I'm not a fan of sort of the Char being cute and stuff that much, but they do look pretty amazing. They look so cool. If any of you know what video that is, I don't remember the link anymore, but if you do, drop me a comment, I'll link it. I'll put an annotation there on the screen right now, because they just look so amazing. They like run in the cutest little ways. It's unbelievable. But anyway, enough of that. The residents of the Black Citadel live their lives and conduct their business under the strict eye of the Iron Legion's adamant guard, and they enrich the base of operations from which the legions carry the battle to their enemies. Okay, we got Living for the City here. Okay, we're going to listen to this. I've just had a look on Audacity. We're about 30 minutes in. Okay, so we'll listen to this, and then I'll start talking about the end of the dungeon. We'll continue this blog post with tomorrow's dungeon. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. We can spend as much time as we need on Char Week. So yeah, Living for the City. I hope you guys enjoyed this and these little snippets and a couple of my my insight. So yeah, living for the city. Here we go.
Those guys in the guard don't miss much.
We don't miss anything.
You want some greens with that?
What for?
I need a blade. A better blade.
I have one, just for you. Honed from the finest steel, forged from the darkest iron. It screams for souls, and you must wield it.
Now that's what I want. Not just a weapon. A legend.
Step inside, soldier. You're ready to be a hero.
What's your problem? I'm just having a little fun.
When it disrupts my city, your fun is my problem.